Hey, everybody. I am here with another creator spotlight for Find Your Film. It's just myself. Greg and Eric are out for the moment, but I am here with director and two of the actors and or musical contributors to the wonderful, awesome, gory, beautiful, hilarious, and many other descriptors to Uncle Peckerhead. Now, I'll introduce you all in a second. I'll also let you know that Uncle Peckerhead came across my brain and eyeballs about a week ago. Eric, our co-host, brought it to our show. Every show we do, we each bring 2 or 3 movies. Some are new, some are old. Try to introduce people to something they may not have encountered before. And he described Uncle Peckerhead, and I watched it the next day. I was like, I need to see Uncle Peckerhead. And then I reached out to you, Matt, probably within 30 minutes of watching the movie. And luckily, you answered me back, so that's cool. In the spirit of underground independent art, I appreciate that. So we should probably start. So first of all, I'll just introduce you quickly, and then we'll go one by one and kind of get through you guys. So in my order, I don't know what it's like in your guys's. Over this direction for me is Jeff Riddle, and he plays Max, the guitarist of the band. And I believe you also contributed quite a bit of the music to the movie.
That's correct.
Yes. He had quite a more robust beard in the movie, but now it's a little more trimmed up.
You should see downstairs.
This is not a family-friendly podcast. I might have to edit a little bit for YouTube, but hey, we can make some deals here. And the corner down here, we have Mr. David Littleton. I hope I said it correctly.
That's right, Littleton.
Littleton, all right. And he plays the namesake of the movie, Peck to his friends, Uncle Peckerhead to those who are not his friends, or I don't know, maybe the people who are not his friends, he just makes sounds to them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he just growls.
And then last but not least, in the bottom there, we've got the director and writer of Uncle Peckerhead, and that is he goes on the credits as Matthew John Lawrence, but he said I can call him Matt because I guess I'm special. So
because we're bros.
So let's begin. There's a lot to talk about Uncle Peckerhead. I'm going to tell everybody out of the gate, there may be spoilers. So if you don't like spoilers, just go watch the movie. You can go rent it. You can go buy the DVD or the Blu-ray. There are many places you can find this movie. It's worth your time and your money, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
No disagreement. All right.
Watch the movie several times.
And tell people and make them watch.
Yes, exactly. And that is part of our goal here, too, is to get the word out. I know it's already buzzing out there a bit from what I can see, but let's make it buzz some more. So let's start with Matt. Matt, I've looked at several of your shorts. Only one specifically kind of fits in with this, and that is, was it Demon?
Larry Gun Demon.
Yes. So I watched 3, just to let you know. I didn't watch all your stuff, but I did watch Enter the Beard and Larry Gone Demon, and I watched, I think one of your earliest ones, which is Shoebox Redhead.
Yeah, that was my thesis film in grad school.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, and in all of them, there's definitely a string of, there's humor, always humor, it seems like. But tell me kind of what spurred on Uncle Peckerhead. Like, how did this arise out of your brain?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was born out of a bunch of different things that were kind of percolating simultaneously. Like, I had wanted to pitch kind of like an Adult Swim series that would be like a 15, 20-minute episode, about this punk band that lived in this like dingy row house. And like, it's never explained, kind of inexplicably, there's this old like hillbilly that lives with them that would pass along this sage-like advice. And that would be the Peckerhead character. And there were really no horror elements. It was just kind of like, I always described it as kind of like a punk rock Full House meets like a redneck Mr. Belvedere. And basically, like I was producing a bunch of horror shorts around that time, and I went to a certain unnamed film festival. And really there were like, you know, when you go to film festivals, at least for me, I expect to like get some like gonzo midnight movies that are just a fucking blast to watch. And at this film festival, I mean, there was the crowd there that wanted that film, but I found that like a lot of the films were pretty humorless and overall like lame. So I like basically like the last night I got drunk with my girlfriend, then wife at the time, and I was just like, I have to make a movie. I have to do this. And basically like Peckerhead became kind of taking that initial Adult Swim idea. I wanted to make kind of like a movie about a band on tour, because I had gone on tours. A lot of my friends, you know, are in bands and they have like a ton of war stories. And then, you know, just from that horror film festival and having produced a bunch of horror shorts around that time, I was like, what if I just kind of like meshed all of these ideas together, and somehow it just came out to be the film that you watched. It just kind of like, it was like basically like all three irons I had in the fire at the same time, just kind of like trying to smash them all together just to like get something to work.
Excellent. So that kind of leads to something I was wondering about, and that was one of the things that struck me right out of the gate was this movie is mostly about a band, you know, with the whole demon aspect just kind of a part of it. And it felt like somebody who has been in a band or understands bands, and especially understands indie / punk rock / a tour that's maybe 6 cities within a 300-mile region. Now, that being said, that kind of shoots off to Jeff, and that is, you obviously have been in it. Now, from what I saw here, you were in a band, or you are in a band, The Holy Mess?
I was in the Holy Mess for
Okay.
a number of years, and toured a lot with that band.
And you obviously brought your musical skills to this, and you're also in a couple other things he's done, at least Larry Gone Demon.
Yeah.
How did you, when you came into this, like kind of how were you approached with it, and what did you feel was going to be your part in it when you kind of approached into it?
So back in like 2011 or 2012, it's when Matt and I first met, and he asked me to do, you know, we had just known each other through his brother, who's like, well, I would say a mutual friend, but it's his brother. But we're all friends. No, I met Matt, and you know, we had hung out at parties and shows and stuff, and I think we were at a party at the house I was living in at the time, and he was like, we were just like outside smoking a cigarette, and he's like, hey man, so you know, I direct movies, like would you like to, he's like, I really just think that you would be good in this short that I'm doing. And I was like, totally, like I'd love to do that. And I kind of didn't, I'd never done anything like that before, so I didn't take it that seriously, but I was like, that would be awesome, and something I've always wanted to do. And you know, a year and a half went by, and me being naive to the whole process, I'm just like, I never thought about it again.
Yeah.
And he called me and he was like, hey, so I'm gonna send you the script, like, do you still want to do it? And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I just didn't really even understand the mechanics or how long it actually took to, you know, develop something, put it together, you know. And as soon as I got on set, I was like, oh, this is for real. And like, you know, just to see what Matt did in that circumstance with a really, really small crew, and we shot it all in a house. Yeah, and after that, and just, you know, playing festivals with that, and just kind of seeing what that was, it turned a key in my brain. When he asked me to do Uncle Peckerhead, I was just like 500%. Yeah.
Nice.
And he let me kind of have more of a, you know, a creative role in it too, which is a lot of fun. And he asked if I wanted to, if he could use a song, you know, that I'd written in the past that he liked. And I said, yeah, but what if we wrote a real record for this fake band?
Yes.
And so that was kind of, you know, that was kind of the beginning of it.
And you also wrote the song for Dominion Rising too, right?
Matt and I co-wrote it.
That song.
Yeah, that song.
I have to say, when they're playing that song, first of all, it's believable enough. So it isn't so ridiculous. And that's the trick. Okay, I talked about it in my review of this, my short review, not the spoiler-free one. First of all, okay, let's back up a step. You said you wanted a fun movie. Definitely, I can see this. And in the short, you're kind of getting more, and obviously you have Troma, you throw, you know, Toxie in there as kind of a cultural, I guess, touchstone for people if they can understand kind of where you're coming from. I think
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
used to work at Troma. I was Lloyd's
Oh,
assistant for a year and a half. So
Nice.
I could not shake the Troma grime off of me if I tried. Why?
But I
Yeah.
would say you hit a little more of an Evil Dead vibe almost than
Yeah.
you do a Troma.
Oh, totally.
Because I feel like the level of blood, and I especially see this in Larry Gone Evil, but you see it too in some in Uncle Peckerhead, that there's those scenes where the blood is just like, you know, covering him. That's very Ash, you know, Ash and Evil Dead kind of a thing going on. I really appreciate that. But I was going to say, so the song by Dominion Rising, the thing that gets me about that song, first of all, just the incredible, like, you know, pretentiousness of it is awesome. Especially considering they're just standing in this room and he's got his, you know, furry vest a la, I don't know, Sonny Bono 1965. But then the background singing of that song fucking kills me. And I can't even tell what he's saying exactly. But he's like, it's that real. It's that like fucking. It's like whiny emo times 10. It's like, let's just make it a little more Fall Out Boy / whatever it is. I mean,
Dude, yeah, we actually, when Matt and I demoed that at my house, like I had the music recorded and we were up in like my bedroom and doing it, and I think when we did that part, we just started laughing so hard. I was like, I don't know. And he's like, dude, do it. Like, do it even worse.
Yes, that was the right choice. Just make it so fucking whiny and screechy, and it's just like so fucking earnest. It's just like, yeah, we're talking about
and I have to say, the guys in the band really sold it. And the guys who did the backup vocals, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, are 2 directors, right?
Yeah, I mean, the guy who is the background vocalist, it's Jeff's voice, but it's Adam Brown, who's actually a writer-director in his own right. And like the band members, basically, it's like one of my little brother's best friends, who's like one of my friends, Joey, who's the drummer. Nick Santos is the bassist. He's a producer and he directs on his own, and Adam. So it's basically it was just friends of ours that we knew would be able to be there on like separate days, would like be able to show up. So that's how that band was formed. But just talking about Dominion Rising, like Jeff and I talked about this, but like my part in writing that song was just writing really the lyrics and like how Shiloh would sing over it. But basically, like when it comes to writing emo lyrics or lyrics of that ilk, it's really just like having a bowl and then just having like certain adjectives and nouns in there. Like you need something with razor blades, like a blackbird.
Yeah.
Just like
the blackbird of my soul rises to the black rainbow.
Ashes. You need ashes, soul,
bullets.
Yeah.
Yes, bullets. Okay, now, David, we don't want to ignore you. So leading into David, I'm just going to say, so if we haven't mentioned it yet, you shouldn't be here if you don't know what this movie's about. But if you're here at this point still, okay, fine, cool. We'll let you know. Basic concept, the band Duh is going to go on a little mini tour. The goal is to make it to kind of a big show for them. But they don't have a tour van. The only way to get a tour van is to start flyering everywhere to get a free tour van. They find a man who is supposedly living in his tour van, or he's living in a van. He says, cool, you're in a band? Okay, I'm your roadie. Let's go. Come to find out, Peck, who we're going to talk to in a moment, just happens to be at midnight turning into a human-eating demon. It's kind of an inconvenience. It's sort of like a little bit of a addiction or something he's got going on. So you got approached with this role. First of all, what did they bring to you? What were you brought with that you had to kind of portray, and what did you kind of bring to that role? Like what was the contribution there, and how did you see that character?
Well, when I first auditioned, I just had the scene in the diner where he's kind of explaining why he ate that guy. That was the first glimpse I got of it, and I was down in Florida doing this play about an Appalachian coal miner trapped after a collapse in a mine. And so I was already kind of working with this accent, and the description of the character was that he was a hillbilly. So yeah, I sent in a tape, and then I finally I did another audition in person, and then I got the full script, and I was just super excited. First of all, I'm a huge horror nerd. Like I love horror movies, so I was excited to be doing one. And then so I got the script, and yeah, all of the kind of character stuff is there, you know. Like if somebody else had been cast in it, it would have been more or less the same thing, except they would have just brought their own kind of vibe to it. And so the way I approached it, though, is you can't play like, ooh, I'm a monster, or, you know, mostly it was just kind of approaching it from the vantage point of the police are looking for me. I need somewhere that I can kind of fit in and be incognito. Here's this band that needs help. And then he kind of falls in love with them because he is like so on his own all the time. So that's kind of how you just kind of have to approach it as insanely out there as it is, like try and connect with it on a little bit of a human level. So he, you know, he doesn't want to be a monster, but he can't help it.
I do want to just say, I think David is just being humble because
I agree.
we spent, I mean, and I know Jeff and David have heard this story millions of times, but I mean, we were a micro budget film, and we were doing a casting call, and you only have, you know, so many days to do it because you can only have the space for so many days that you're renting. You know, it costs money to, like, you know, pay for lunches and dinners and stuff like that. So like we had lucked out in that we had Jeff as Max. We actually found Judy, played by Chet Siegel, and Mel, played by Ruben McCall. So we found them pretty quickly, like within a day or two of that casting call. The casting call for Peck was like, we spent at least 3 full days looking for a Peck, and we met with, like, I would say upwards of, like, 70, 80 guys reading for Peck. And I would say none of them touched like what I'd envisioned as Peck, even giving like notes, you know, having them do it a couple of times. And when David sent, I mean, it was really kind of dark days after like the 3rd day of, like, we didn't have another day set up to do this casting call. And I mean, I had started having this kind of tough talk with the producers of, like, we had kind of like committed to shooting in June. And I was like, I can't imagine. I mean, the movie kind of hinges on this character.
It does,
although
definitely.
it's Judy's story. I mean, Peck is kind of, he's the titular character, and he's like, he is the big energy in that room whenever he's in the room. We had nobody that even came close, and I was just like, well, do we postpone? What do we do? Do we have enough money to even do like a heavier casting call? Do we reach out to like more? Do we put in paid ads to find it? And luckily, David found our original casting call, sent a video submission in. And I mean, I'm telling you, like, he did that scene uninterrupted, unedited, like just on his cell, like somebody filmed it on their cell phone of him doing it. And it's exactly what you see in the movie. It's that performance. And immediately we were just like, we need to get this guy up here just to make sure that, like, he's the person that's in that frame. But yeah, I mean, no one touched David's performance even during the casting call. So
I just want to second that. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Just real quick, I remember Matt showing me David's audition tape, and I don't think it even clicked in my head that, like, you know, as I was watching an audition tape, it didn't click that, like, David actually submitted this, you know? So I'm like, well, I was watching it like I was watching something else, and I was like, dude, like, you know, like, there's no way we can get this guy if he's into doing it. And yeah, and he came to New York, and we got to all read together. And even after that, we were like, well, that's the guy, that's it. And if he'll do it, though, you know. But even with him reading in the room and coming to audition, I still wasn't even connecting like the dots of, like, well, he came to audition. I was just like, fuck, I hope he's into it. And he was. and he was, you know, hands down the best. But I mean, just something I remember is what Matt was saying, like reading with a couple other people. There was one guy that came in to read for like the hot model guy, Nick. You know, that role.
yeah.
And he's like, all right, man, but I really want to play Peck. Can I
like,
we're
no.
just like, dude, we kind of don't have time. And he was like, please just give me a shot. And
this guy was like 22 years old.
He pulled out like a wig out of his fucking jeans.
Oh,
and, like,
no.
and like tore his shirt open. And he was like, but dude, he was just like doing a terrible Southern accent. He was reading for the part of the hot dude. He was just like, hey, y'all, I hope I'm a player will get your book. And we're like, oh, dude.
It was like a bad Mad TV audition. It was
God. Like Will Sasso or something.
This is the first I'm hearing of this. So this is pretty awesome. But I want to go back and just say thanks for all the kind words. But also, like, there's no way you can fail with a really tight script. And I think Matt wrote a great script. I mean, there's no way you're not going to laugh at a line like, you know, I'm sorry y'all are covered in my dookie. You know?
Okay.
I mean, it just kind of works.
Well, I'm going to pile on just a little more because I think you deserve it. And I agree, though, that the script, there are some like unfailable stuff in the script, but I think you have the trickiest role. And I feel like what you had to do was, and like you said, it's Judy's movie, right? She's got the arc. She's the star per se, or the protagonist, I guess you'd say. She has to go through all the stuff. But with Peck, you have to do something really tricky. And this is where you are excellent. And I'm glad that they're all agreeing with me and making you listen to this. Because, well, you should get the Oscars, but you know, hey, let's see. That's a question coming up from somebody, one of my cohorts. How many Oscars? You each should say how many Oscars you're going to get. Yes. Or Tromas. Maybe you get some Tromas. I don't know if they have awards for them. So anyway, I was going to say, what you have to do is you have to do something really tricky. You have to be menacing at times. You have to be like lovable. You have to be kind of like almost like a sad doofus is what I want to say. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're kind of a fanboy at points.
Yeah.
You have to be all those things. That is not a simple task to play. And I don't know if you guys saw my review, but I made a comparison to you, and I don't know if this will offend you or if you'll like it. But I almost thought as Uncle Peckerhead could almost be like a long lost, not quite as evil, but almost as evil cousin of Captain Spaulding. Like I could see him like living across the United States, and Captain and him haven't met each other for a long time, but you're his like long lost cousin. So I don't know what you think of that, but I really loved it. So
well, thanks. The nice thing about it is I forgot the phrase that you used, so this is not going to land. Something doofus. What was the doofus thing?
Like
sad doofus. Sad doofus. That's me. That's me all the time. I'm a sad doofus all the time. So
that's actually the name of my middle child. So try to
sad doofus.
Yeah,
that should be the name of the demon baby. Sad doofus is the demon baby that smokes.
Sad doofus Riddle, my youngest hummus Riddle.
Yeah, sad doofus is what I'm going to call my stepdad next time we get into a fight.
You sad doofus. Shut up, you sad doofus.
You're trapped, you sad doofus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sad doofus. Oh my god, I love that.
So I'm going to get a little nerdy here. I'm going to get a little nerdy on a few things here. And this is open for everybody. First of all, have you considered, and if you have, why haven't you done it? Or if you have done it, why don't I know where to get it? Why is there not a cassette demo tape available? Why are there no t-shirts available?
So we are working on a web store, and in terms of like merch with regard to like t-shirts and stickers and pins, like that'll be up in like a week. We just, I mean, honestly, like we're still dead fucking broke from this venture. So
Understood.
I'm still waiting for my check from Big Brother. Yeah, so my wife and I, who kind of are running the Subtle T-Rex website, which is kind of our production hub.
Yep.
we're like currently like, you know, just about to send out like our first kind of run of 2 t-shirts. We're gonna have like a bunch of stickers and stuff. And I know like I too, like Jeff, am chomping at the bit to do like a proper release. So that's why, I mean, if you're listening or watching and you like the movie, you know, give a shout out to Mondo or Waxwork Records or any record company that you love on that you think would really like help to bring Does music to light. Because I mean, like, especially with just having the resources to kind of put something like we want, I'll let Jeff speak to it, but I mean, we really want to do like a proper release of the music because I'm sure like many people who end up watching the movie, you know, I had to listen to that music like literally probably like 100,000 times each song from pre-production to post because I was the editor, and I still fucking love that music. But Jeff, I know that you can speak to doing like a proper album and like what that'll look like.
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan. You know, I'm already kind of talking to some buds that my friend that I just recorded I'm in a band called 500 Bucks, actually with the drummer that did the drums for recording. So we just recorded a record, and I'm already talking to him about, you know, doing like a proper recording of the Duh songs.
Can you imagine on like, as this hits cult status, which it's probably mid half a foot into that already, touring it like Suspiria tours with Goblin.
Yeah.
Tour this fucker with Duh. And
it'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, you get to the song and the movie just like fucking stops and you just like play the fucking song. Yeah. And at the end, the final song plays, and as the credits go up, you lock the doors, and then, well, we'll talk about the end here in a minute. Okay, I had another question about it.
Is this actually video recorded too, or is this just audio that's going out?
It's video.
Oh, okay, cool. Never mind. I was going to show you what my new record looks like, but
do you not want to show it? Is it secret?
It's up away. No, it's not out yet, but it's coming out soon.
Well,
I was going to show you though.
If you want, you know, I can talk to you just about your record when it comes out. We could do that.
No, I won't show it. But
okay, all right.
We can talk about it.
So, question on the record front: Alliteration Records, which is what they want to get on, has the Queef Queens. Alliteration Records has Turd Toilet, which is how I don't know if you guys saw what I originally sent to him. So, what I originally sent to Matt was there's the picture of the 2 Turd Toilet releases. And then I shopped them in with the pictures of Enjoy by the Descendants and Golden Shower of Hits by Circle Jerks, assuming that's what they were sort of takeoffs on. And I figured, well, if he's on this, he's on my wavelength, and he'll probably be like, okay, someone gets it at least. So Turd Toilet.
Punk references, lots of deep punk Easter eggs hidden out through this whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
The real ones know.
Turd Toilet, and then Brainbusters, and then Acid Cat. What the fuck is Acid Cat doing on Alliteration Records?
I always felt like, because I mean, Brainbusters is just after like it's like a female led like cockspur like type band. But Acid Cat was just like, my wife had this really cool design that she had done, and I was like, oh, like that could be like, I mean, I didn't want it to just be, you know, like late 70s, 80s like references. So like that was after like a Waves album.
I gotcha.
Like Waves. So I just wanted, because that reminded me of some like type of like surf kind of.
But
like,
it doesn't alliterate.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Well, it's only one word.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just wondering. And then I was like, of course, like, duh. Like, I guess they'll just have to figure it out. Duh. Maybe they'll be duh. Anyway, that's just a little thought I had. So, a couple questions. How many times during this production did you guys accidentally say Uncle Fucker? Ever?
Never. No. But you
Fucking
know what?
Uncle Fucker, Uncle Peckerhead? Nothing ever?
How many times did I accidentally fuck my uncle? 7.
7. The 8th time was on purpose, though, right?
Yeah. Never spoke about it, though.
Now.
It is funny. No one ever gave the Uncle Fucker, but we did get a bunch of, you know, when we would like try and get a location, or even like afterwards, like when people would like want us to play a certain festival, they would call it Uncle Peckerwood, which I've heard like probably like a dozen or more times.
I would say, I also, you know, when we were trying to lock down locations, I'd be like, it's Pepperhead. Like, yeah, like pepper. They're like,
Pepper,
okay.
like pepper,
Yeah,
like salt.
yeah. If you're like, oh, can we use your church? They're like, what's the movie called? Uncle Peckerhead.
Oh my gosh. So another question. This is a question actually comes from one of my partners in crime. They were wondering. They said that there are several scenes. We should also mention. We haven't mentioned some of the main cast members here. Shiloh's played by Ryan. Is it Conrath?
Yes.
He's awesome. I'm gonna say again.
It's Ryan's birthday today.
Yeah, it is actually
Ryan.
It's Ryan's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Shiloh!
I already sent him a text at like 7 a.m.
He's been in a bunch of your stuff ever since the beginning, right?
Yeah, like Ryan is like you know, brother from another mother type. Like we met our first probably before the first day of school, and we became like, we were just fast friends. And he's been in, aside from Enter the Beard, which I think he couldn't go on, like kind of, we did a tour to do that movie. Besides that, that's the only film that he hasn't been like deeply involved in. And I should also mention, in addition to playing Shiloh, Ryan was our unit production manager. Wow. So he was wearing like, you know, a half dozen hats at any given time, in addition to playing, you know, an insufferable prick.
Yes. And once again, you know, talking about your writing, and this is what David brought up, and how strong your writing is, and how it's kind of can do it on its own, right, David? Yeah. That scene where he comes in and bums the smoke as kind of his introduction, I love that scene. I called it out in my review. I just love it because it's not only every fucking person who's ever been on a tour or smoked or been at a show has had somebody, some asshole walk up to them they don't know, start talking to them like, oh, hey, you know, I can bum smoke. And then the fact that you just have that little touch of him taking the smoke, you know, taking the smoke, then putting the pack in his pocket and starting to walk away. It's like, yo, you fucker. You. And then he has a faux hawk on top of that. Fuck you, dude.
It's so, when he gets it back, he's just like, you know, fuck, you know, asshole.
It's so funny too, because I mean, I like that joke of him pocketing the smokes was like intentional. But the funny thing is like in the few public screenings we had, that gets such a big laugh when he actually pockets it. And that's one of the things, as you're writing, you don't realize that that's something that could generate an actual like loud laugh from the audience. But I think it's just like Ryan has such kind of a knack for both like delivery, and like that character is so just well honed by him, just in terms of his actions and the way in which he moves in this space. But that's like, I mean, Ryan is just kind of like, I wrote that knowing that he can create such a beautiful character of that yes. type of person. Yeah.
And then also we got to call out, so we've got, you know, our main character, or one of our main characters, I guess, Judy, as Chet Siegel. She's amazing throughout because she brings kind of the plucky, spunky, can-do energy, but she's also kind of the antagonist of you, David. Like, she's kind of not on board with you pretty much the whole movie. In fact, one of my favorite written moments in the movie too is where you basically pussy block her instead of cock block her, and she's just as, you know, smash cut to her like looking in that car window at you, you know, like fuck you, whatever she's saying there.
Yeah, beautiful
writing, and just performed really well by her. I mean, she performs well all the way through.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, that's again, like, I think the reason why, like, I don't hate the film after having to edit it for so long is just, I think the performances across the board are great, but especially like you're really experiencing the story through Judy and Chet. I think especially Judy is kind of an extension of me, you know, like it's like stuff I've really felt. I've always felt that I've been kind of the type A, like kind of the den mother when I've been in bands or when I've been in like artistic endeavors. And I think Chet like either has felt that or is just like so like transcendental in terms of like her performance that like that character feels so real. Yeah. And it's like, even like one of my favorite scenes is like when her and David are on the balcony of the hotel, and she's kind of like opening up, and it's like the lines she's saying are things that like I've said like to myself, you know, and both of them are just so, it's such like a thing that, you know, when it happens, you're just like, oh man, this is like when you're actually working with really great like actors, this is what can come from it. Like, this makes me like happy that like, you know, I had any part in that. But yeah, I mean, she's so great as well as like everyone else.
Yeah, and then last we should mention Ruby McAllister, and she plays the drummer Mel, and she's awesome too because she's kind of your, the existential kind of, whatever, guys, we're gonna do this, okay, but there's gonna be a dark cloud coming, it's on its way, and that whole scene and all that stuff. But she's like, unfortunately, she's the kind of girl I would fall in love with. You know what? I would zone right into her. That damaged goods. I'd be like, okay, hey, look at you.
Ruby is very lovable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's awesome too.
Yeah, I mean, and in reality, like when I was writing those three, I was thinking about it like kind of this odd, like 21st century family, in that you have Judy, who's kind of like the mom, and then you have kind of the angsty
Yep.
teen in Ruby, and then you kind of have the precocious, like kind, sweet, like lovable, like super innocent, like younger sibling in Max.
Yeah,
and even
Max.
when Peckerhead comes along, he kind of plays the fun uncle that, like, he might be, in a real family, he might be like a raging alcoholic and just a fucking shit kicker. But like the kids love him because like he's scrappy and he'll tumble with them and he'll like take them to like the arcade.
Yeah.
Buy them their first pack.
But eventually the dream kind of gets twisted a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because eventually the drunk uncle is a drunk uncle, and you're like, oh fuck, he's a drunk uncle.
Eventually he gets the kids arrested.
Yeah.
So you're like, that fucker let a donkey loose in the house.
So David, when you did that role, so you obviously had the effects on you, and you had probably more blood and hopefully fake shit on you, and whatever it was. I mean, what was the most unpleasant day you had as far as that goes? Or were they all awesome?
I wouldn't say any of it was unpleasant. The guy who did most of the gore effects and did the special effect makeup is named Jared, and he and Sean, who is his assistant, were just fantastic. I mean, they got to the point. I mean, the first time we did it, it took probably a couple hours, but they got to a point where they could do it in like maybe an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes. And so, yeah, I mean, it getting it off mostly was the worst part. I would say that we had the metalhead scene.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
There was a lot of practical stuff going on, and we're all just drenched in blood. And I had those fingernails, and the fingernails kept coming off. I think that was.
I know you fucking hated those fingernails.
That was the worst thing, and believe me, like everything we were going through, if the fingernails are the worst thing that's going on for when that much chaos is going on, like everything's running pretty smooth. So Jared was fantastic.
Awesome. And of course, we love practical effects. In a low budget movie, you almost have to do practical effects, but they're almost always better. In fact, I think they're always better.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, totally co-signed. That's like one thing that I would say for the most part, even if I did a bigger budget, I would definitely opt to do practical effects over like most CGI. I mean, again, like we really didn't have to do any CGI in this film. But I would really try and limit that. Is like, as David said, Jared and Sean were so great to work with, and especially on a micro budget film. You feel that with limited resources in terms of time and money and, supplies and all that stuff, that you won't be able to bring certain things to light or like fully realize kind of what the vision was on the script. And they did such like an incredible job of like really, I really felt that like nothing wasn't fully realized that was in the script. And even beyond that, like the rest of the crew is amazing, because when you're doing those practical effects scenes, it's like a one and done. Like since we're such a shoestring operation, if somebody gets the jaw ripped off, you get one jaw rip and that's it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it really speaks to the camera department really having their shit together. It's perfectly lit. They picked the perfect angle. The actors are hitting their marks. They're doing exactly what they've practiced. They don't fumble it in any way. And it's like every other person, like whether it's wardrobe, whether it's, the production design, whether it's makeup, It's incredible. It's incredible. Like when there's that much pressure and like everyone's buttholes are like super puckered, just hoping that you really get it off. And I would say like, luckily I don't even have to knock on wood, but luckily we really didn't screw up any of those big moments. And that's why, you know, those sequences you see them in the movie, because otherwise they wouldn't be in.
I mean, cool. That was the thing, you know, just watching it on the monitor, like Matt said, you really only have like one chance at a lot of it. And watching it on the monitor, and, you know, I have like videos on my phone where I was, you know, filming the monitor, and you go back and watch it and I'm like, that's like in the trailer, you know, you're like, that's in the trailer, or that's the take. And it's kind of crazy to see that, you know.
So before we head out, I'll do a couple things here. I was going to talk a little bit about the end, and we'll, as much as you want to talk about the end, we'll kind of leave it at that, although we're not worrying about spoilers here, so we can go all in if you want. And then at the end of that, I want to do a quick little round robin with you guys and let you each talk about what's coming up for each of you as well. But so first of all, the end. So obviously you leave it pretty ambiguous on what will come after. So obviously they've gone off to jail and prison or whatever, and they've, you know, made their notoriety, which I do appreciate you pushing him into Tucker Carlson and all the little GMZ and all that stuff. That was pretty hilarious.
That fucker. That fucking piece of shit. Sorry.
Yeah, fuck him.
Agreed. You don't have to worry. I got gray hair, but I am not on that boat. So anyway, and then you get them back and they're playing Chemical Spill, I believe is the song, probably the name of the song.
Crash Age, yeah.
Crash Age, yeah.
Yeah. But she keeps saying something about my brain is a chemical spill or something like that, right?
Which is the age that we've entered now, coincidentally. We are living in the trash age.
Yeah. No fucking doubt. And slowly, you know, Peckerhead comes into the back of the audience and you hear the screams and fade to punk rock black. Do you in your mind, do you know what occurs after that? And how far do you know?
Yeah, I have a treatment to do a fully fledged sequel to Uncle Peckerhead. I mean, I already have scripts written for kind of this universe, because originally Duh was supposed to be in Larry Gun Demon, but they're definitely in the Larry Gun Demon. I have a feature version of that involves Duh. But then I have this treatment for Uncle Peckerhead too. So personally, I know what happens. Really, I mean, the original, in the original drafts, and the movie makes it a little bit more clear cut that those are actual screams. But like my original intention was to make it about that you don't know if she's just being haunted by this idea that he could come up at any time. What ended up working best with kind of the sound design and the experience of what I kind of wanted to get across, it ended up being like a little bit more explicit that, you know, something's about to happen or something's about to go down. Where the movie ends up taking off in the sequel, I don't want to reveal too much. No,
but you don't have to reveal something else. Don't do that. I just was curious. I would just we'll leave it at that. You do have thoughts beyond that, and totally. I appreciate that, and that's perfectly good. So here's what I'd like to do. So first of all, a movie for each of you. We'll go around the room here. A movie that has just impacted you greatly. I mean, this is a movie that no matter what, it's made your life different. It doesn't have to be horror. It can be whatever you like. And then we're going to do the same thing with a band and or album, and it doesn't have to be punk rock, but it could be. And we will start with David.
Put
you on the spot.
I'm pressed. I'm hard pressed to say like the most influential.
Doesn't it be most? Just comes to your head right now.
Psycho, Kill List, the
Kill
Loved
List.
Ones.
Good choice. What was the last one you said? Great. Loved Ones.
Loved Ones.
Loved Ones is good too.
Those are all like really important to me. Band Clash, London Calling. I was in high school and it was just like a fucking revelation, man.
We both have gray beards. I think we're probably in a similar demographic. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate all of those choices. Loved Ones, good. And Kill List. You don't hear a lot of people talk about Kill List.
I fucking love Kill List.
Kill List is a
incredible,
fucking missed movie by a lot of people and very good. Let's do Matt.
I would say movie, it's probably between two in terms of like a real impact. I would say, like in terms of impact, Clerks, just because it kind of it broke my brain open at like probably a really important age that it was outside of the Hollywood system. And I really thought movies were Hollywood or just like studios. And just the idea, like it just kind of like completely opened my eyes to kind of the possibilities that it's something that I could do. It was the first time I ever even considered that I could do that. And I still hadn't like considered at that time, but it just kind of like really opened my eyes. The other one is, especially for this movie, Wayne's World, just this idea of like scrappy characters that obviously there was a really lovingly written and portrayed. And just this idea of, like kind of the corruption, like that studios are kind of like the corporations can have on kind of this genuine DIY kind of approach. So I really loved it. And it's like one of the most lovely kind of like heartfelt comedies I've ever seen. And I still I could watch it like a million times and still kind of have the same feels after watching.
On the DIY kind of flip trip like that, to me, I think when I saw the first Evil Dead, and I saw that it made it to the theaters, and I was like, holy fuck, these guys just sat in the woods and just had a camera strapped to a board and, just tons of blood, and they made that happen. It's amazing.
I mean, Sam Raimi in general, just like, I mean, everything like with the Evil Dead movies and like fucking Darkman and stuff. I mean, that's had like, in terms of just like the gonzo energy that exudes from his films, like I mean, I don't think I'm even close to getting there, but that's the type of like, that's kind of like something that I aspire to kind of like accomplish.
It's funny because we just had our show, and after we had seen this movie, and I'm getting to you in a minute here, Jeff, and I had brought 2 or 3 like plucky band movies kind of inspired by, yours. I was trying to bring ones that aren't always brought up. One, of course, I think of as Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Another one, we would just watch Sing Street for the first time, which is a very sweet movie, but so beautiful. And have you ever seen Heavy Trip?
No, I don't think I have.
You might dig Heavy Trip, and I've been trying to promote this to people. It's made about 2 years ago in Finland, and it's about a black metal band out of Finland.
I've heard of it, but I have not seen it.
You might really dig that movie because it has, I mean, it's not the same as your movie at all, but the idea how you create very memorable and unique and lovable characters that you want to follow and track with, take that and put it into like a mayhem black metal universe and in a small town in Finland, and you kind of get the same thing. Okay. Jeff.
It's hard to like, pick one or two. And also, there's like a bunch of cliche ones in there, I'm sure that whatever, but a movie that I think about a lot, just stylistically, I love There Will Be Blood. I can kind of never get that movie out of my head. And I guess anything by PTA and like any really Terry Gilliam film, honestly too. And Coen, anything by the Coen brothers. So those are kind of like my, main whatever. And musically, I don't know, my favorite bands change a lot. I've had a lot of different records that have had such a huge impact on me, and like there's a lot of newer records, that I have that I'm sometimes like the band that I'm wearing, Amyl and the Sniffers. When I first heard their record, I was like, what the fuck? And like, I actually got to see them play in Atlanta before they I think they've won an Australian Grammy now. So
nice.
You probably never see them in a small club again. But I saw them in front of like 150 people, and it was fucking insane.
I know that experience.
Yeah, any band that's like The Dirty Nil is another band that I just fucking like am obsessed.
Oh yeah,
I'm just obsessed with them. They're like a fucking modern, just rock and roll. I don't even know. Single Mothers, fucking another band from Canada. Like,
when we were driving around going to set to film, Jeff would drive. It was his van, and he would play this music for all of us and introduce us to these like I remember Idols. We listened to Idols all day.
Idols, yeah. I know them.
They were fucking fantastic. Wait, so we didn't get to hear Matt's music.
Yes, we didn't. No, you're right. I was going to come back to him. I just noticed that too.
Oh man, I mean, like Jeff, and it's such a. I'll give one that kind of like really just kind of changed the game for me. But I mean, like music is so omnipresent in my life, and I'm sure like all of us, it's like so tough. But I would say like the one record, I mean, specifically in terms of like punk music, is I remember when I was in, I think it was like 6th or 7th grade. My best friend at the time, Bill Bradley, played NoFX's Punk in Drublic. And I remember hearing Linoleum for the first time. And it was like the first punk song I had ever heard, like real punk, you know what I mean? And I remember just like feeling like I want to steal his tape, you know, like I want to take his tape like home with me. And it's just like, I remember like I used to do chores and like begging my mom to take me to Sam Goody in the mall so I could like find this NoFX record. And yeah, I mean that album just like completely, because then, you know, you're introduced to like the compilation albums that like Epitaph or Fat Records did, and you just kind of like see all those bands and you start kind of following the breadcrumbs to see who they've toured with and stuff like that. And it's pre real internet. So you're kind of on your own, like trying to discover how to find these bands and where to find especially like the lower tier where they don't have any type of like real record backing, or, you know.
We lost David. Oh,
hi Dave.
Oh, he's back.
But yeah, NoFX Punk and Drublic is like just such a game changer in my life.
Yeah, I was going back to what Jeff said. I had a couple, I'll probably bore the people that know me because they've heard my stories a million times, but the two that I have are like when you saw them before they blew up. I saw Elliott Smith playing in Seattle for like 50 people on a Tuesday night, you know.
Yeah.
And then before that, when I was in punk rock bands back in like the early 80s, we used to play at this place in Tacoma, Washington. I live in Alabama now, so that's a whole other story. We can make, if you want to come on down here, we can make Uncle Peckerhead too here down here. I can give you some pretty weird places. There's a dead children's playground down here. Anyway. We used to have this place in Tacoma called the Community World Theater, which was a converted porn theater. They turned into a punk venue, so already it's, you know, ready to go. And you know, saw, who do we see there? Soundgarden. We saw all these bands before, and of course the biggest thing was like my band played with a band called Skid Row, which at that point ended up becoming Nirvana when they were like nobody, you know, which we didn't even know who the fuck they were. You know, so you got all that stuff happening back then.
That was the record that changed my life, you know, when I was young. So yeah, that's what got me into punk music.
For me, it was Stooges Funhouse. And this was like pre-internet too, right? And we had a guy, it was like either had a Big Brother or you had a record store guy, right? And we had a record store guy. You went to a record store and you're like looking for shit. And we were all, at that point, we were into punk or in metal and stuff. And you're like looking at Motorhead and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, well, what are we going to get? And this guy's like, you need to take this home. And he fucking gave us, you know, Stooges Funhouse. And he said, listen to this. He goes, you need to listen to this shit, you know. And then after that, it was off to the races. So, question for all you guys, and we'll kind of head it out of here. Thank you for your time, by the way. So Eric wants to know, Eric is our co-host, and he's the one who brought the movie to us. So you can thank Eric. Eric is the one. He always finds the most interesting different things. He says, so each of you should tell me how many Oscars are you going to get nominated for this year? Because it should be.
Check it
Jeff
out.
actually did get an Oscar.
Damn. He says all the Oscars. You're already in his top 10 for the year, and I think you're probably in my top 10 for the year too. We'll have to see where you guys fall.
That's nice. Thank you.
Because it's something that, like, I mean, we love the art movies. I love the really, you know, crazy, beautiful, but I also, it's the same thing, right? You love symphonic majesty, but you also like punk rock rawness. And you're a punk rock rawness movie. You bring like wit, energy, heart, blood, practical effects. What else do you want in a movie? Dookie, shit, blood. What else do you want in a movie? Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot to hear that from Eric, and it's so nice that you sat down and talked with us, Bruce. But I would say, like, I mean, it sounds like such a line, but I mean, obviously, I know that question is in jest. But I mean, in reality, like this is like a fucking dream. Like this is the first thing that I've ever done filmmaking wise where it's extended outside of the film festival like audience, and just the reception that it's gotten from people like you, and just like it's crazy, like people around the world. It's incredible because it is like and I don't want to just speak I don't want to speak for everyone, so I'll just speak for myself. It means a lot because it's not just me that like broke my back making it. It's like a bunch of people that did beyond what they should be asked to do, and they really gave a shit, and it's amazing that people really liked it. It does mean a lot that people liked it. So I mean, Oscars are great because like that'll make you a lot of fucking money on your next project, which I could use. But in reality, like this is fucking why you do it, is to like actually get to talk to people that really dug on it, and people that get it. You know, like when you sent those photos, like, you know, it is incredible when you spend so much time and care doing that. You know, like I want to shout out Alan, who actually did those album designs, my friend Alan. But when you actually spend the time and your friends, you know, do that for free, just because they love that you care so much about like this little fucking Easter egg, it just means a lot that people recognize it and love on it.
And if you considered that possibly what Jeff was mentioning, like when you see that band and now they're playing, you know, they're getting awards in Australia or whatever. I mean, for all you know, this is you right now. People finding you right now might be that. They might be finding you at the ground floor. They might be finding you before you make the next one and the next one and the next one. And I mean, you say, oh yeah, I'm making these fun, you know, goofy, silly, you know, horror movies, but you're putting a level of care into them. You know, you put those level of detail, you put the level of script writing in there, you just keep doing that, get a bigger budget, get a bigger budget, get a bigger budget. All of a sudden, who knows? You are the next Sam Raimi. You are the next Peter Jackson. You are, I mean, look at how those guys started. Bad Taste and Evil Dead.
Oh, no. I mean, and two huge influences, like, you know, Brain Dead is like, you know, or Dead Alive is like one of my...
Meet the Feebles.
Yeah, Meet the Feebles I fucking love too. Puppets and all.
Shitty.
But actually, Bruce, we actually, I have to head out for another interview.
Okay. I have to also as well. I'm on the same thing.
Sorry to take your guys' time too much, but I appreciate talking to you guys.
This was such a fucking rad interview, man.
Yeah, it was a great interview.
I wish we did not have to rush off like this. But
okay, last quick. What are people going to find from you in the future? Where are they going to look for you? What are they going to look for?
Oh, great. This is awesome. SubtletyRex.com, or you could just go to UnclePeckerhead.com, and that redirects you to Subtlety Rex. That's our kind of production hub. If you want to follow us on social media, you can find it all there. But if you want to read about new projects, if you want to watch old projects, if you want to hear more about Uncle Peckerhead, eventually when we get the web store up, hopefully in a week, you can see any merch that you want to purchase. You can learn more about everything in the Uncle Peckerhead universe.
And Bloody Axe Wound, right?
Bloody Axe Wound, absolutely. Or Larry Gun Demon, the feature, SubtletyRex.com, no dashes, or just UnclePeckerhead.com.
Jeff.
I'm in a band called $500 with Bill, who did the drums in the band. We have a new 7-inch coming out in like a couple weeks. So yeah, go to $500bucks.com. You can buy it all there. Look, there's all of them. 500 records.
Nice.
Right there. So, yeah.
David.
I have nothing coming up, so just get Jeff's album. Get Jeff's record, $500.
And give us some fucking money so we can make another movie.
You guys are awesome.
Amazing.
If you get a Seed and Spark, do you have a Seed and Spark going for any of those movies yet?
We don't. We're thinking about doing something very soon because depending on what COVID does to us, maybe summer 2021 we can get something off the ground. So it's in the works. We're kind of discussing what to do in terms of that. But yeah,
you guys are beautiful people. A beautiful movie. Awesome. I thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much.
Anytime you want to talk again, we'll do it.
Sounds good. Take care, everybody.
All right. Take care, guys.
Ciao.